She had just beaten the best player in the world, and she didn't even know it yet. Aryna Sabalenka walked off a practice court in Toronto, having already said the words that would define the next month of her season, and she had no idea they'd come back around and bite her. Days later, she was gone from the tournament in straight sets, upset by Katerina Alexandrova in the fourth round of a WTA 1000 event she'd been using to build toward defending her U.S. Open title. But rewind. Before a single ball had been struck in Canada, Sabalenka stood in front of a room of reporters and said something about a 21-year-old from the Philippines that nobody in that room fully understood the weight of. Not yet. She has something that you cannot teach, Sabalenka said. Not power, not the serve. It's her mind. At the time, it read like a compliment, one champion tipping her cap to a rising talent. In hindsight, it reads like a warning she gave the sport and maybe didn't realize she was giving herself. Because the player she was describing, Alex Eala, was in the middle of something the WTA Tour had not seen from a Filipina player in its history. And Sabalenka had just handed the entire tennis world the blueprint for why it was happening. Here's what makes it strange. 3 months earlier, Eala had been the one showing respect upward, joking that she'd steal Sabalenka's serve if she could. It was the kind of line a younger player says about someone she's still chasing. But something shifted in those 3 months, and by the time Sabalenka was explaining Eala's game to a press room, the direction of the compliment had reversed. The world number one wasn't just acknowledging a good player anymore. She was trying to explain, almost publicly working through in real time, why she couldn't shake the feeling that Eala was different. Alex has this ability to just keep coming at you, she said. You hit your best shot, and she's there. You think you won the point, and she finds a way. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. And it's why she's winning. Read that again. That's not scouting report language. That's the language of someone who's been on a court across the net from a player and felt something she couldn't fully explain with numbers. So what had Eala actually done to earn that? Start in Washington. Eala arrived at the DC Open as a talented but unproven name and left as WTA champion, the first Filipina in history to win a tour-level singles title. The names you went through get their read like a murderer's row. Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen, defending champion Leylah Fernandez, a dangerous top 10 seed, 4-time major champion Naomi Osaka, and world number 3 Jessica Pegula in the final. She lost the first set to Pegula. Most players in that position, against that resume on that stage, fold. Eala didn't. She came back to win it 4-6, 6-4, 6-0, closing it out in a way that didn't just win her a trophy. It told the rest of the tour something about her nervous system under pressure. That's the moment her ranking jumped to a career-high world number 20. That's the moment people started paying attention. But Washington wasn't the story. Washington was the opening scene. She took that momentum to Toronto and beat Alicia Parks, a result that carried its own private satisfaction. Parks had knocked her out of the Australian Open earlier in the year, and this was a rematch nobody had circled except Eala herself. Then came the match that actually tested what Sabalenka was talking about. Katie McNally, fresh off eliminating reigning Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova, pushed Eala into a battle that lasted 2 hours and 39 minutes. Somewhere in the second set, Eala rolled her ankle badly enough to need a medical timeout. This is usually where a streak ends. This is the moment a 7-match run becomes a 6-match run, and a good story becomes a forgettable one. She didn't let it. I think I survived that one, Eala said afterward, and there's something almost underplayed about that sentence, like she already knew what everyone else was about to find out. The win pushed her streak to 7 straight matches, her 3rd consecutive 4th round or better result after a Wimbledon run and the DC title, and set up a 4th round meeting with world number 14 Belinda Bencic at the Canadian Open. Now here's where it stops being just a hot streak and starts being something the sport has to reckon with. Because Sabalenka wasn't speaking in vague praise. She was pointing at something specific, something she'd apparently been tracking. She doesn't just hit the ball, Sabalenka said. She thinks about every shot. She reads a game. She knows where you're going before you do. And then she adjusts. That's not a compliment about athleticism. That's a description of someone playing a different sport than the one everyone else is playing. And the numbers back it up in a way that should make the rest of the tour uncomfortable. Eala had improved her record against top 10 opponents, winning 5 consecutive matches against players ranked inside the top 10, beating Grand Slam champions and former world number ones along the way. Sabalenka had felt that firsthand. It's not just about hitting hard, she admitted. It's about knowing when to hit hard. Alex knows when to attack and when to defend. She knows how to control the tempo of a match, and that makes her almost impossible to beat. Think about who is saying that. Not a struggling veteran looking for an excuse. The reigning U.S. Open champion, the player who had built her entire career on raw, physical dominance. Admitting that dominance alone wasn't enough against a 21-year-old she'd been watching closely enough to describe like a coach would. But there's a second story running underneath the tennis, and it might end up mattering just as much. Because while Eala was climbing the rankings, she was also becoming something the tour hadn't planned for, a draw. On the Nothing Major podcast, former ADP players Sam Querrey and Steve Johnson were debating, half seriously, whether Eala had quietly become the biggest attraction in women's tennis. Johnson didn't hedge. Yes, dude, it's crazy. Like in Australia, the court was standing room only. Then Dubai, standing room only. It's insane. That's not vague hype. There's a number behind it that makes the point almost absurd. At the Australian Open, Eala's press conference pulled in over 127,000 views online. Sabalenka's, the world number one, the defending major champion, pulled in just over 6,500. Before her tournament even began, Eala's pre-event press conference drew roughly 171,000 viewers against Sabalenka's 9,000. Those aren't close numbers. Those are numbers that usually take years and multiple major titles to build. Eala hadn't won a major yet, and Querrey made the point that actually matters here, the one that should worry or excite, depending on where you're sitting. Everyone in the sports front office. She's not just a crowd draw. She's playing well right now, too. This is like if she wins a slam, it will be like one of the biggest things in the world. That's the collision point. A player who draws crowds like a superstar, backed by results that are starting to justify it. At 21 years old, with the reigning U.S. Open champion publicly describing what makes her so hard to solve, go back to that fourth-round loss for a second, the one that started this whole thing. Sabalenka goes out in Toronto to Alexandrova, a result that on its own means very little in a long season, but layered against everything she just said about Eala, and it starts to read differently. Here was the most dominant player in the sport, publicly dissecting the exact mental qualities that make an opponent dangerous, and then immediately proving, in a completely unrelated match, that the margins at the top of women's tennis have gotten thin enough that even the best in the world can lose without warning. It's a coincidence. It's also a preview, because if the world number one can be undone on a random Thursday by someone other than Eala, what happens when Eala is standing across the net from her in a final that actually matters? Eala herself doesn't sound like someone chasing a moment. She sounds like someone who's already decided how she's going to carry it. After the McNally win, the one where she nearly lost her tournament to a rolled ankle and pushed through anyway, she was asked how she does it. When I'm on the court, I'm not thinking about the ranking or the pressure, she said. I'm just thinking about the next point. That's what helps me stay focused. It's a simple answer. It's also, when you put it next to what Sabalenka said about her reading the game and adjusting before opponents even know what's happening, the same idea from two different angles. One is the outside description of a killer instinct. The other is what it apparently feels like from the inside. And when Eala was asked directly what she thought unsettled her opponents, she didn't dodge it. I think that's what scares people. They know I'm not going to give up. They know I'm going to fight until the very end. And that's hard to face. That's the sentence worth sitting with. Not because it's dramatic, but because of who's confirming it. This isn't a rival trying to get inside Eala's head with a compliment before a match. This is the best player in the world on the record, describing an opponent's mind as her most dangerous weapon, and then losing a match of her own days later that had nothing to do with Eala at all, as if the sport itself was underlining the point. 7 straight wins, a first title, a career-high ranking, wins over an Olympic champion, a defending slam finalist, a 4-time major winner, and a top 3 player, and a fight through a rolled ankle that would have ended most runs on the spot. None of that is the headline anymore. The headline is that the player everyone assumed was still building toward her moment has already arrived at it. And the proof isn't in what Eala has said about herself. It's in what the world number one couldn't stop herself from admitting about her.